Hey, what's going on, internet world? They say anytime is a good time. Oh, hang on, this camera is doing this automatic zoom. Let it zoom right in. So I don't even know if I don't know if it's a good idea, man. It's early in the morning. I don't know. Sleep. Look at my face. All right, look like a guy who's been up partying all night. But anyway, that wasn't the case. So yeah, just out doing some work in the morning. Come on, Zoom, work with me. All right. And then I always have stuff on my mind. I don't always get a chance to just jump up right away and set up the video. But this time I thought that I would actually send a video. And anyway, I just the other day my wife actually brought something to me, and it was really cool. I guess I did a video that she liked. My rough look right now. She doesn't really like it. But I'm kind of in between things. I don't know whether I'm gonna grow out my hair or I'm gonna cut it and go bald head, whatever the deal. So I just thought that one of the things that was probably cool about that video was that I actually had stuff to show versus just kind of just talking and talking and talking. So I know that I talked a lot about the plan that we use through the academy, and one of the things that we were talking about is kind of the reason why we chose the word academy versus like club and things like that for the things that we did. The number one reason is this: a few years back when I kind of first started coaching, I wanted to be just like any other young coach. I wanted to create all the, help all these kids and win and win and win. But early into that, I realized that the real reason, my purpose for coaching was actually helping kids. And I found that the wrestling that I was doing, and I'm biased, right? I got wearing the wrestling shirt, is that I found that wrestling was the greatest instrument or tool or machine, whatever you want to call it, for helping young people. So what I found shortly into my career, at that time I was still volunteering, was that my passion was, I wanted to help young people. I wanted to be able to find a way to kind of help them and guide them and get them through, because I'd kind of gone through a lot of stuff when I was younger. And lucky for me, I had a coach in my corner, several coaches in my corner that kind of, they basically, kept me in between, right? I was just bouncing in and off, and rather than going a straight and narrow, but having those coaches, they kind of kept me in between two lines, right? I didn't go too far one way or too far the other way. So that was my passion, and I thought that as I was going through, that's what it was. And because of that passion, we became extremely successful, and so a lot of people actually thought that because we had so much success, that winning was our main thing. But the real reason why we had the success was that helping young people, that was our passion, and that just drove us. And when you put passion into something, great things happen. So I want to show you a really, really basic 50-year plan breakdown. It's extremely basic. It's really cool. You can actually give this to your kids. Now the 50-year part, depending on how young your kids are, you can kind of draw with it, because it's hard for young kids to kind of see 50. But that's a reason why you have that long-term thing, because the one of the things is that we're talking about is that a lot of people have plans or dreams and goals for their kids or for themselves, but the problem is the execution part of it is where you kind of falter. So I guess this is a part where I can kind of help you a little bit to kind of lay out a plan and lay out a quick little execution step. So here's kind of how it worked, right? So when we started the academy, it was more based on getting kids to see themselves as an adult later on, as pretty much close to grandma or grandpa later on. And in doing that, it kind of said, okay, look, let's say for example, okay, you want to be a president. You're going to be the president of a particular company, or you're going to be president of the United States, Prime Minister of Canada, wherever you are. So there are some things that you're going to have to learn and develop right now. There's particular attitudes that you're going to have to carry. There's particular ways that you have to carry. So, one of the things you have to start choosing your friends, a little bit. The things that you do, they're going to affect that long term. So here's the deal. Here's a little layout. I'm going to put this up here. I just kind of quickly jotted this. It was just on my mind. But this is pretty much what it is. All right. And the reason why I put these boxes here is that it's really for images. And so it says here, we break it down really simple. Age, 50, 30, 20, 3 years from now, a year from now, those are pretty much. I mean, if you're already 20, obviously you're gonna go back. You're gonna take that off and maybe do maybe 25 right. But either way, 3 years from now, a year from now, and everybody has their own opinions. Some people say, well, their particular goals are not supposed to be But anyway, this is what we did. And so what we started to visualize when we were working with kids is that we started to visualize them as adults, as very, very successful and contributing citizens to their community, to their country, to the basically to the world. So you want to start off with it, especially if you're a young person or you have kids. You want to start off with sitting down with them and say, okay, well, what do you okay, at 50 years old, who are you going to be? Like, who are you at 50 years old? Are you a grandma? Are you a dad? Are you a mom? Grandpa? What are you doing for work? Right? What type of a person are you? Oh, I'm a pilot. I'm a police officer. Oh, I'm a business owner, and I have kids, and so that type of conversation is where you want to be here in the who. Like, who are you? And then for some people, like, okay, well, if you had to draw a picture, like, who are you? What do you look like? Who are your friends? Who's around you? Who's your family? Where are you? Where are you at 50 years old? Are you on the streets at 50 years old, sleeping in a, behind a garbage can? Where are you then? Like, are you living where you're living right now? Do you see yourself living somewhere else? Do you, where do you see yourself? Meaning like your habitat, right? So you start to kind of talk about things in pictures, right? Like, how did you get there, right? How are you living and how did you get there? So you want to start. So this how kind of starts to, look at these particular things. So if you're 50 years old, well, I'm 50 years old, I'm a pilot. So how did you manage to get there at 50 years old, a pilot, and you're living in, I don't know, West Virginia, and you're living on a ranch in West Virginia, and so you're living quite well. Well, how did you manage to get there? Right. Well, I went to university, and like things like that. Like, how did you get there? Yeah, and so what in order to achieve these particular things, what obstacles are in your way? That's one of the key things that I found with a lot of young people as they're going through their goals and things like that. What type of obstacles? It's hard for young people to imagine obstacles are going to be in their way. Well, it's also hard for them to imagine that they're going to get knocked down while they're trying to achieve this plan. It's very, very hard for them to imagine that. So you have to talk about to them what kind of obstacles, right? In order for me to achieve this, particular whatever, to get to this particular person, I need my education. Okay, that's an obstacle. Like, education is an obstacle, right? What are the obstacles for education? Well, it needs a particular type of money. What type? When you talk about education, what kind of school? So you start to talk about that here. Same thing here. You start to do, okay, at 30 years old, like, who am I? What am I doing right now? Are you still in school at 30 years old? Or are you out of school? Like, you're living on your own. You're married. Like, what, who are you at that particular time in your life? Where are you? 20 years old. And this is the key. This is very, very crucial here, the 20 years old part, especially if you have young kids like teenagers. This is big because they can see themselves at 20. This is very difficult for them to see. I mean, they can have a picture of this, and this may change a lot. This may change in like 6 months. But this is very, very crucial. Like 20. Let me hold it back. I don't know if you guys can see this, but anyway, you can. I mean, if you email me, whatever, whatever, I can send you this. But you kind of get the general idea, right? So you wanna start to break that down for them. Now, if you got like my son is just turned 6 years old. That's my oldest son. So I do this for him. Like, and this is what I do for him, right? That's and the reason why that is that I do it for myself. And here's what we did in the academy when. Like, an athlete has to do it and a parent has to do it, right? So you want to be able to do this for your kids. Like, you want to be able to have one of these particular things drawn out for each one of your children. And it does take time. Like, it's not like something, I mean, you can do this really quickly or whatever, give yourself a nice little snapshot, but it does take time to kind of formulate that, because you start to realize then, this is how I want my child to develop. You have to be, as a parent, you have to be you don't have to be the I don't know, we always talk about like the coach versus the technician. You don't have to be the number one technician. Like, if you're, you don't have to be the person who's the genius at math to be able to teach your child math. What you are is you have to be the conductor of that. You have to be able to find, okay, here is the best place for my child to learn math. how like my son is very good at math, and so what we try to do is that we try to find mathematical things to teach him, like English, for example, and so you have to kind of figure out, like, how does my child, you know, your child better than anyone else, so you have to try to figure out, like, how do they learn best. So